Hello, good evening, and welcome to the program. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV. I'm Abdullahi Ahmed. Tonight, we turn to the unending storm within the People's Democratic Party, a party now deeply divided over the controversial return of Senator Samuel Anyanwu as National Secretary. The move, driven by the National Chairman, the acting National Chairman, Ambassador Umar Damagun, and a section of the NWC, has triggered outrage across party ranks. While the decision is being linked to Anex's rejection of the party's notice or its June 30th NEC meeting, which has already been postponed, it has only widened the rift within the PDP, splitting it into two clear factions, one led by Governor Seyi Makinde and the other by the current Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike. The Makinde faction, with support from some other governors and National Working Committee members, has rejected Anyanwu's reinstatement and cancelled the planned NEC meeting. Now, the PDP Board of Trustees has waded in, aligning with the Makinde camp and condemning the moves as a breach of an earlier NEC resolution, the highest decision-making body of the PDP. So, who truly calls the shots in the PDP, and is this about legality, loyalty, or raw power play? For join us to unpack some of these tensions and political maneuverings is the PDP's Deputy National Youth Leader, Timothy Osadolo, is joining us for tonight's conversation. And somewhere down the line, we hope to have joined us another PDP chieftain, Umar Sani, to be a part of tonight's conversation. Well, but Timothy, thank you very much for joining us. Good to see you.
Good evening, and I thank you for having me on your platform.
Right. I believe it's fair to ask, which side of the faction do you belong to? Because your party seems to be always divided along, factions. So on whose side do you fall under, given the current developments?
Well, in as much as I would have loved to take exceptions to your branding of PDP as a faction organization, I belong to the PDP. I don't know who's who and who's not.
Okay, so let's say camps then. Which camp do you belong to?
I belong to the camp of PDP. And when
the one that supports the return of Anyanwu?
When I took oaths after my elections at Eagle Square, I took oaths to defend and promote the PDP, and not any individual or any group.
But there is a clear divide within your party, including the National Working Committee itself, about the announcement made by your acting chairman just over 24 hours ago about the acceptance or reinstatement of Senator Anyanwu as a National Secretary.
What are the issues? When the chairman used that word acceptance or reinstatement, one would begin to wonder, was Senator Anyanwu suspended? Was Senator Anyanwu expelled? Was Senator Anyanwu not, was he ever derobed as National Secretary of the PDP? The issues are, he contested for governorship in Imo. People thought or felt morally that he should resign. And I agree with them. But what did the Constitution say? The Constitution was silent. The Constitution didn't say he should resign or he must resign. And at the end of the day, the man has a right, so long as he's not breaching or running foul of any part of the Constitution of the PDP. The man had a right and reserves the right to run. What I would have expected is that the leadership of the PDP would now say, oh, in follow-up to this constitutional lacuna, at our next convention, we will ensure that anybody, any officer, no matter how highly placed, be you chairman or anything, that wants to aspire for anything, don't seek leave of absence, resign and go and contest. That should have been a way out. People felt morally and ethically it was wrong. Morally, yes. Ethically, yes. What about the Constitution, which is the grand norm for operations within the party? He was not wrong. It could have been anybody. It could have been anybody. But now it has happened like this. Lessons learned should have been that, oh, this is an item for constitutional review within the party. Now people want the man out. People want the man in. The man wants to stay in. And all this talk here, to talk there, those for, those against, they are forgetting the bigger picture, the sanctity and integrity of the party.
Why is this such a hard pill to swallow, do you think, for people on the other side, some of the governors, some of the stakeholders, like the Board of Trustees, for instance? Why is it so hard for them to accept Senator Anyanwu as the National Secretary?
For me, I'm not here to throw missiles today. I've always said, for all I've sinned. So therefore, Party A, Party B, Party C, Party Z should all come down from their high horses. Talk to ourselves. Look at what the issues are and make plans and steps towards preventing them in the near future. Then focus on rebranding policies that will say to Nigerians that will formulate when we form the next government. That is what the issue should be, and not who stands as secretary and who stands as who does not. At any rate, in another 6 months, the tenure of this NWC is over. The elections is 2 years away. So what can this secretary do when there's another national convention coming? So for me, it's a needless distraction. It's a joke and a very funny one that has been taken too far. I would think men and women that are highly cerebral, that populate this party, should have sat down and thought through all of this by now.
All right. 11 of the 19 members of the National Working Committee.
It's not true.
We saw the letters.
We have been seeing letters of disclaimers since yesterday and today. Senator Sauri, Senator Gwazu from the Northwest has sent a disclaimer letter.
It wasn't his signature?
No.
It was forged?
It was. I don't know what it was forged or not, but he has given a disclaimer. The distinguished Ahmed Yayari has issued a disclaimer. I think somebody was calling me downstairs now that someone else has given a disclaimer. But I will see it, so I will mention names. The one I've seen and I've verified, I can authenticate.
So 2 out of 11, according to you, have...
As at this minute, that
right.
I can authoritatively speak on.
Right. So you officially have 19, right? National Working Committee members. And if it's not 11, as you say, if it's, say, 9,
yeah,
right, out of 19, that is still a very significant number that have come out to say the acting national chairman's position.
At any rate, mind you, sir, if one can say his position was not, his opinion was not sought for, and 2 could say it, what about the rest maybe some who have not even responded?
But we're dealing with the facts. We saw the signatures, and that's why we are alluding to that particular information.
And now,
as a matter
have you seen signatures of those who have recanted or who have denied outrightly or who have said, I was not consulted?
Right. But going by what we can see on pen and paper, right?
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah,
on pen and paper, have you seen these ones too?
Yeah,
have you seen the disclaimers?
Okay, so you
no, it's not what I said. You saw A. Have you seen B?
Yeah, but you can speak to the disclaimers. I'm speaking to the initial.
No, you should speak to all both sides. That's why it's called balanced journalism.
No. It's my job to pose the question, and then you can counter with the facts that you have.
Now.
I have not seen the disclaimers, so I can't speak to the disclaimers. But the point I'm making, Mr. Timothy, is the fact that the NWC itself is divided. Right? There are people within the NWC, and I think you would, accept that as a reality, that have not accepted this compromise.
Well, I can tell you that letter, that alleged letter that you are alluding to now, came out like some almost 30 something hours ago, and I can assure you, between that time and now, there have been over 4 meetings. And most of the issues, some of those people that were behind those letters had in issuing that letter has been addressed in the overall best interest of the PDP. Again, this is a family issue, and it's quite unfortunate that every time, every evening, every morning, every afternoon, it's PDP, 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 and not for the policies to better the lives of Nigerians, but for the internal wranglings about who is who, who's not, and who should be, and who should not be. That is quite ironic, given the background and the principles upon which this party was founded.
Do you understand the frustration of some of your followers, supporters, or even people who are open-minded about voting PDP in elections who would feel disappointed and angry that the PDP has been unable to get its house in order for such a long period of time?
It's still early days. If it takes PDP 200 days out of 365 days to purge holistically and come out with the right set of persons and policies for the Nigerian people to have a credible platform against this one-term presidency of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I think it is worth it. So long as the right thing is done.
Yeah, but it's been more than 2 years.
Even if it's 5 years, so long as it doesn't exceed 2025. Where this, which is the terminal, which is the terminal date of this current NWC.
What is the guarantee that this whole chaos will not give birth to another chaos?
The truth is this: there's no guarantee that even as we are here now, this world will not fall apart. The truth is that elders, leaders, and stakeholders are already on top of this situation and this issue, and I am convinced, abundantly so, that something will give and to be in the interest of the PDP.
Talk to me about the governors. We've seen over the past couple of months as a forum, they've spoken about this particular decision, and then we saw this 180 because there are some of them who are still in support of the decision that was announced by the acting national chairman. Talk to me about why they appear to be divided with regards to the leadership crisis that is still rocking the PDP.
Do not forget, the PDP is not the Catholic Church or the Pentecostal Church, where personal interests do not come first. The PDP is a political party. It's a platform for advancement of people's interests and ambitions. Therefore, if people have interests and they think your own interest is conflicting with theirs, there's room for tackle, there's room for jojo, if necessarily, there's room for verbal missiles. But at the end of the day, what is certain is that all this cross-pollination of ideas and talks and all of this is geared towards one end, promoting ideas of one's ambition or of one's interest. So therefore, why not say it's this is something that is not unexpected, which is quite, because it is very much expected. But what is important is that the PDP is able to get its acts together.
Yeah, but the PDP
and the people that are looking up to us see that we are making conscious, honest, and deliberate efforts towards getting it right for the overall interest of the general public.
Yeah, but the public is seeing this play out in real time. The PDP unable to follow its own rules, unable to follow its own constitutions.
Are they following your own now? Is there another constitution that the PDP is alien to that I'm not aware of?
I mean, you clearly just stated the problem, right? That Senator Ayahu's departure to take part in the elections in Imo does not contravene any law or the provisions of the Constitution.
That is the truth.
So why is it such a headache? Why is everybody struggling to just read the law?
That is why I'm telling you now. It's not everybody in this country that is conversant with the Nigerian Constitution.
Yeah, but we're even talking about the PDP Constitution.
I'm coming now, so I'm going somewhere. I'm sure, with all due respect to you and your certificates, I'm sure you have not read page 1 to the last page of the Nigerian Constitution.
I have a fair understanding of what I need to know.
That is, a fair understanding is even more dangerous than who doesn't understand at all. You see, the problem people have with education is better to be an illiterate than to be semi-literate. I tell people, you know why? The grounds for assumptions become so much bigger than the knowledge you have, because you think you have a fair idea. A fair idea and a complete understanding are two different things. So when I say people don't understand the constitution of the PDP, now the 1999 constitution as amended is different from the 1972 constitution. If there's another amendment today, therefore it will be different from the 1999 constitution or 2003 constitution. But the point is this: those that have the old constitution and the Uche Secondus-led amended Constitution of 2017. Whereas the old Constitution says shall vacate. The Uche Secondus amended Constitution says may.
And that's simple. There's nothing complicated about it.
It should be simple. It should be simple. One is definite. One is optional. So,
no, but you're dealing with an amendment. Something
good, good.
If something has been amendment, you go with the amendment.
Good.
Not the old
But
version.
how many people knows that the Constitution has been amended?
So you're saying everybody that has a problem with Senator Anyanwu in that position is because they are not abreast of the amendment?
That is not only because of the amendment.
Right.
I am not, first, let's get it established. I am not an apostle or a fan of Senator Anyanwu. I am an advocate of what the Constitution says. If the Constitution says you can wear white agbada from January to February, and February to December, or February to April, and somebody says, I don't like white, don't come with white again, you have not violated any law. Senator Anyanwu, yes, morally or ethically, people believe, I'm able to share in that sentiment. But the man has a constitutional lacuna he has held on to. I'm not really holding on to.
Is that a lacuna or a provision?
It's a constitutional provision,
right,
that he justifies his claim with, and which in the eyes of the law, with which he went to court, up to the Supreme Court. Now, for those who believe and feel strongly otherwise on emotional grounds, emotional thinking and beliefs are not admissible in the court of law.
Is there, I mean, you talk about the Constitution,
and again,
you talk about the PDP Constitution.
One more thing again, sir.
I just want to make
not
make
everybody not everybody fighting him are alien to the Constitution.
Right.
Some again to personal ambitions.
Right, and I think that is, the bone of contention, isn't it? That this has got nothing to do with the PDP Constitution or violation of the Constitution. It's purely because of his perceived alignment with the FCT minister.
Exactly. Now the question is this: when an armed robber is being sentenced, for instance, with all due respect to the word or the listeners or the NBC rules, do you drag the brother, even if it's a twin, do you take the twin or the father or the mother who are biological siblings, do you charge them with it, with him or her?
I'm not sure that analogy works.
No, hold on, sir. Why?
Because we're talking about political interest.
Hold on now. The political interest, is it played by animals? It's not about human. It's not human relationships.
Yeah, but also for the people on the anti-Anyanwu side,
yes,
right? They are talking about how his allegiance or support or loyalty to the FCT minister is going to undermine the PDP, because the FCT minister is on record on so many occasions how he's unapologetic about his support for the Tinubu administration. So they cannot square this circle where their national secretary is aligned with someone who is going to work against the PDP again in 2027. So for them, it doesn't make sense to have him in such a critical position running
now the question should be, do they have any proof or allegation, not one, of where Senator Anyanwu has even worked against the PDP in the time past, so that will now warrant to say, oh, we don't want a second incident or episode of what you did the last time?
I think the question was on Wike, not necessarily on Anyanwu. Anyanwu is aligned to Wike, and Wike is not necessarily aligned with the PDP.
I'm coming now. Wike and Anyanwu, for the best of our knowledge, have been friends for over 30 years. Right. The same Anyanwu has been secretary for over 3 years. Is the world just waking up now to their relationship?
Right. So you don't find any fault in that assessment?
If my best friend is being sentenced for a crime, does that make me an accomplice?
Again, I don't think the analogy works. We're talking about politics here. You're talking about crime.
Okay, in politics, if my best friend chooses to say, today I want to be a monk, must I become a monk?
Again, I don't think that's the way it works. We do know that in politics, you can influence people if you are in a certain position of power.
So with religious sentiments too.
Right. So you're saying one thing doesn't have to do anything with the other. Okay. Let's take a quick breather and bring in our next guest who will be joining the conversation in just a moment.